something else that I thought of when you just said that, it can be very difficult to have those conversations so people can know, like, oh yeah, you need to talk to your partner about all of these things. But then how exactly do you say that without hurting their feelings?
Editing Winter here. My question was worded in an extremely stupid way. To clarify what the hell I meant. So basically what I actually said had something to do with jealousy and setting up boundaries. Was how as ace people do you navigate creating and ensuring that you're keeping boundaries in your relationship. It feels like a lot of the time it is understood that when you are dating an ace or arrow person is kind of a diverse relationship experience, just because some of the things that are usually on the table in a traditional relationship are not exactly so when you're dating someone who is arrow or ace or even both. So how do you have those conversations with people so that you can make sure that boundaries are upheld and respected, but also be constructive when you see that maybe those boundaries are not being respected? That's all I was trying to say.
Well, I think for one thing, just with the ace person's position in mind as well and being sensitive to their identity, you don't want to jump to a conclusion one way or the other. Because at the same time, sure, you might think that nothing's going to happen because that person is ace. But you're also putting that ace person in a box.
Yes, it's true.
And you're infantilizing them. You're questioning their maturity. Sometimes, unfortunately, a lot of these activities are viewed through a lens of, oh, this person's mature. And if they aren't doing those things, then they're not mature. So you also, if you're not careful, are saying that this ace person is very immature just because you don't think that they're going to do anything. On the other hand, you're still trying to trust your partner. And so I could see how through that lens, someone might accidentally, unintentionally, I should say, do that to the ace person. So there's a lot of things that you have to tread lightly around for that conversation to actually occur. I think being just upfront is probably just the best way to handle it. Communication is so important in any type of relationship. And if you are upfront with your feelings while also respecting the feelings of your partner and respecting the identity and the feelings of this ace person, this third person in this situation, and not making accusations, being cautious with your words, I think is the best way to handle it.
Maybe just talking about, I see you're doing this action and that makes me feel however, versus you're ignoring me or you don't love me, something like that. Because I know that I've had to have conversations like that before, and sometimes it results in arguments, which you can't really control, because sometimes you gotta duke it out. But trying to think of things in a way where you already know that your person is trying to do their best, but also just acknowledging, I feel like there's this need that I have that you're not exactly meeting when you're doing etc. So could you please do la, and that would kind of help to rectify the issue. I'm calling out this issue now so we can just fix that as a team versus coming after the other person.
Yeah, and advocating for yourself and for your needs is very important in a relationship. So phrasing it about yourself and your partner's needs in the relationship is vital.
One thing that you mentioned, the infantilizing, I think that we can definitely cover that. And obviously, I wouldn't exactly say that this is a social problem at its core, but it definitely is so widespread that we can talk about how people think that coming to your how do they usually say it, that basically having sex is your path to adulthood. That's what it is. I feel like that's kind of problematic because there are situations where people don't really have that choice. And you can definitely see it in the media. I know I found this one YouTuber recently, Nikki something. We'll link it here. she was talking about inappropriate age gaps in the media. And it definitely does bring up the point that you being active with another person kind of marks you into adulthood, but sometimes the way that that occurs is not exactly the best. Sometimes people feel pressured, sometimes people are forced, sometimes people think that they need to fulfill this need that doesn't even need to happen because you're mentally not even there yet.
Right.
So how do you think that that kind of manifests itself in our communities? Because I know a lot of people do experience sexual assault, but also feel like they have to check whatever boxes to even fit in the community in the first place.
I think there is this internalization that a lot of people go through of, am I ace enough? And it is a spectrum. But I think a lot of people who aren't ace don't recognize that. Mm-hmm. I know the first time that I heard of asexuality, I went through some of that. I had a friend that I'd known for 8 or 9 years at that point. Met on MySpace when we were both in high school and became friends. And we talked basically every single day through most of high school and well into college. And it was my senior year of college where she started calling me in the middle of the night. And she wanted to hook up, but not phone, you know.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wait.
Because she attended a different university in a different state at the time.
Okay.
So she wanted our relationship to go to that. From being friends to all of a sudden she wanted to jump there. And I really liked her as a friend. And at the time I still didn't know that I'm aro either. This was like 2013. So I didn't have any of that language yet. Mm-hmm. So what I didn't understand was that I felt very strong platonic attraction to her. Probably something along the lines of I wanted a QPR with her, looking back now, and having that access to that language now, I understand that that's probably what I was going for. She wants to do this, and I'm unsure about it. But I also know that in my head, I like her. I don't want to lose what I thought we could have. Mm-hmm. And I tried to go along with it. I didn't know what I was really getting myself into. I tried to, because I didn't have the experience either. So I kind of just went off what I'd seen in movies and what I'd read in books and made things up as I went. Mm-hmm. And I was also very withdrawn at times doing this. And this only lasted about a week that we were doing this. So she finally said, you know, you seem very inconsistent with your desire for this.
That's suspicious.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's weird.
And
you never asked for that, though.
Yeah, I know, exactly. She took it the route of, if you want this, you got to let it happen.
See, if guys do not take the initiative to show you that they like you, or even if they do like you, they're not taking the initiative to talk to you or anything like that, they are not interested. I'm not saying this to say like, oh my gosh, the lady in this situation was thirsty or whatever. Not at all. I'm just saying, for your personal education, if they're not showing interest in you, let them go.
I said something along the lines of, well, I just don't really know what it is that I'm wanting from this.
That probably is an example of not knowing how to phrase one of your needs. Because I can definitely understand, you know, you don't exactly control, unless you do, who you're attracted to. Mm-hmm. But being able to take in consideration that person's feelings and also acknowledging that you are transitioning, well, I guess it's debatable if there's really like a transition from platonic to romantic. But knowing that you are, you know, taking up different activities that usually are categorized in one subject and into another, just like, does this person even wanna?
Mm-hmm. And her next thing that she said to me, and this is where that infantilization sort of came in, and what you were talking about, how stepping into adulthood. This is the first time I ever heard the word asexual. She said, but you have to, because we are sexual beings. And if you aren't, then you're asexual.
Girl, shut the fuck up. You thought you ate that?
That was the first time I ever heard the word.
Interesting.
And I was 23 years old, I wouldn't figure it out for myself for over 5 more years after that. Partly because, in my opinion, because I lost a friend that day of 8 years to this word that I didn't even know, that seemed like a brokenness in me when I learned it, that I denied for over 5 years. And I just said, no, that's just her. That's how she experiences sexual attraction. But that can't be everybody. That can't even be most people. She's the one that's not the norm. In my mind, that's what I tried to tell myself. Because how could I be this thing if it means that I lose somebody that I care about?
That's a lot to handle.
It was. And that learning that it's a spectrum was big for me. But it's going back to what I was saying, that not a lot of people recognize that it's a spectrum. In that moment, she didn't recognize that it was a spectrum at all.
Yeah.
She recognized it as, you're either this or you're this. There's no in between, no way you could be anything else. And even if you are this, I don't want that.
Yeah. Like, you're not good enough for me, pretty much.
Yeah. And it goes back to something that I mentioned in a caption of a video that I did as a voiceover not long ago. That being aspec, sometimes we feel like we're not enough to belong in either world. Sometimes we might feel that we're not aspec enough, or we're not queer enough to be queer. Other times we might feel that we aren't human enough to be human. And that's because society makes us feel that way.
Yeah.
Whether it's not feeling queer enough to belong in the LGBTQ plus community, or it's the dehumanization that we experience, which is how I felt in that moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Because her exact words were, we are sexual beings.
Yeah, so there's
humanity, we are sexual beings, is what she told me.
There's no room
or
for
else
error.
you're asexual. There's, like you said, there's no room there.
Like, you straight up are saying, either you're human or you're not.
Yes.
And she might not have known that that was the way that it came out, but that's the meaning.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a reminder that this is the second to last video that I've got with me and Patrick. There's going to be another one dropping next week. So if you want to see more from both of us, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, there's no plans to be doing another recording. So for real, if you want to see more of that, please let me know in the comments. Because from here on out, it's going to be just me.